Welcome to another deep dive. Today we are going to be taking a deep dive into the world of travel insurance.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at this report from Consumer Voice magazine from 2014.
Wow, 2014.
Yeah, it's a little bit dated, but I think a lot of the core principles still apply. And it's called, Are You Taking Precautions for Safe Travel?
Interesting.
So this report, it emphasizes that travel insurance is becoming like less of a luxury and more of a necessity.
Especially for international travel.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, especially as we've seen kind of a rise in travel chaos in recent years.
Yeah, that's such a good point because back in 2014, the idea of travel insurance still felt kind of new for a lot of people.
All right.
But this report was really trying to highlight that shift, like it was becoming essential.
Yeah. So as you were looking through this report, what were some of the things that jumped out at you?
I think the biggest thing was just how many different kinds of risks travelers face.
Okay.
And it goes way beyond just medical emergencies like we tend to think about.
All right. So it's not just like if you get sick or injured.
Right, exactly. And we're
Okay.
talking about things like if you lose your passport.
Yeah.
Or your flight gets delayed.
I.
Or even like, what if you have a dental emergency in another country?
Oh my gosh.
It's like all these things you don't think about,
right.
but they can totally derail your trip and your budget.
It'd be really expensive
Oh, for sure.
if you have to deal with that stuff abroad.
Yeah. The report had this example, and it just really stuck with me. Like,
yeah.
imagine needing to be medically evacuated from a remote area.
Uh-oh.
We're talking tens of thousands of dollars, potentially.
Wow.
Yeah. And like
Oh.
the logistics of that.
Yeah. It'll be a total nightmare.
So you're really kind of driving home this point that travel insurance is so important.
Right. And it's not just a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Yeah. What are some of the different types that they talk about?
Oh, so they cover everything.
Yeah.
Like you've got your corporate travel insurance if you're traveling for work.
Then there's student policies for those studying abroad.
Okay.
And those can even cover things like study interruption protection, which is pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
And then there are plans specifically for senior citizens
Okay.
and for families traveling together.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then, of course, there's like single trip versus multi-trip coverage, depending on how often you travel.
Okay, so there's a lot of options out there.
Yeah, the key is finding what works best for you and your travel style.
All right, so they go through these 10 key criteria for choosing travel insurance.
Yes, they do.
And we're not going to have time to get through all of them today.
Probably not.
But let's talk about some of the ones that you think are like the most relevant.
Yeah, especially for folks planning maybe a big international trip.
Yeah. All right, so which ones should we start with?
Well, illness cover is a big one,
Oh, yeah.
especially for international travel, because chances are your domestic health insurance isn't going to cover you abroad.
Right, that makes sense.
And medical costs in other countries can be crazy high.
So even if you're someone who considers yourself to be healthy,
Yeah, you just never know.
it's still a good idea.
Right, you just never know what could happen.
Right, and they also talk about deductible for medical expenses.
Yes, that's an important one.
So can you explain what a deductible is?
Sure, so basically it's the amount you have to pay out of pocket before the insurance kicks in.
Okay.
So if you choose a lower deductible, you'll pay less upfront if you need medical care.
Right.
But your premium might be a bit higher.
All right, so it's kind of a trade-off.
Right, exactly.
Another one that stood out to me was trip delay and cancellation coverage.
Oh, yeah, that's a must-have for those big trips.
Yeah, especially those big international trips.
Yeah, where you've booked everything in advance,
Right.
your flights, your accommodation tours, and then something happens.
Right.
You have to cancel or delay your trip.
Yeah.
I mean, think about natural disasters, political unrest, even just personal emergencies.
Yeah.
It can happen. And those non-refundable bookings,
They add up.
they really do. Yeah.
So this coverage can help mitigate those losses.
No. Okay, so it's like a really important safety net.
Exactly.
I like how they don't just list these criteria.
Right.
They actually explain how to evaluate different policies based on these criteria.
Absolutely. Like with the benefit options available, they really emphasize thinking about your age, your destination, your specific needs.
Right.
It's not one size fits all.
Yeah.
And they encourage looking beyond just the basics.
Yeah.
Like think about things like personal liability benefit or special risk benefits.
Okay, so what are those?
Well, personal liability benefit protects you if you accidentally cause damage to someone else's property or injure someone.
Oh, okay.
And special risk benefits might cover things like hijacking or political evacuation.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, it's all about being proactive and understanding what each policy offers.
So you're saying it's not just about getting the cheapest option
Exactly. You want the right coverage for your needs.
and knowing what's included and what's not.
Right. It's all about being informed. All right. Well, speaking of being informed, Consumer Voice, they actually did some analysis
They did.
and came up with some recommendations.
They sure did.
But before we jump into those,
Okay,
there's one more criterion that I think is super important to talk about.
let's hear it.
It's exclusions and deductions.
Oh, that's a big one.
So what does that mean exactly?
Basically, these are the situations or conditions that your policy won't cover.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, pre-existing medical conditions are often excluded,
Okay.
and injuries from extreme sports or activities like skiing might not be covered under a standard policy.
Oh, wow.
You really need to read the fine print.
So you could think you're covered, but then find out later that there are all these exceptions.
Exactly, and the report really warns against just relying on a travel agent's advice.
Right.
They might not know all the details,
Yeah.
or they might be pushing a specific company.
Right. So it's really important to do your own research.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power when it comes to travel insurance.
Okay. So we've laid the groundwork here. We've talked about the key things to look for.
Right.
Now let's see who Consumer Voice actually recommends.
Yeah, I'm curious about their top picks.
All right. We'll dive into those recommendations when we come back.
Sounds good.
Okay. So we're back and we're ready to see those recommendations from Consumer Voice.
All right, let's get to it.
I'm curious who their top pick is.
Well, drum roll, please.
Okay.
Their best buy is Bajaj Allianz.
Bajaj Allianz. Okay.
Yeah, they got high marks for their coverage and benefits,
Okay.
especially at a lower premium.
Oh, so they're hitting that sweet spot.
Right, affordability and good coverage.
So what was it specifically that impressed Consumer Voice?
Well, they were really impressed with the medical coverage.
Okay.
Like the coverage limit was high,
Okay.
and they had a good network of hospitals.
Okay, great. And they offered different deductible options, right?
Yes, exactly. So travelers can kind of customize it.
Right. Choose what works for their budget.
Yes.
We were talking about those exclusions and deductions before the break.
Yeah, that's always important to check.
Did they mention anything about that with Bajaj Alliance?
They did.
Okay.
And like any insurer, they do have their exclusions.
Right.
But the report was impressed with how clear the policy wording was.
Oh, okay. So no nasty surprises.
Right. It's easy to understand what's covered.
And what's not.
Yeah.
They also talked about the claims process being important.
Yes, that's often overlooked.
What did they say about Bajaj Alliance's process?
They said it was pretty straightforward
Okay.
and efficient
Okay.
with good communication.
So if you do have to make a claim, it's not a nightmare.
Right, exactly.
And what about those TPAs?
Oh, the third-party administrators?
Yeah.
Right, so they're basically the middleman
Okay.
between you and the insurance company.
Okay.
They handle the claims.
So they're who you would actually contact.
Yeah, if you need to file a claim,
Oh,
you want to make sure you have their contact info.
good to know.
Yeah, and Consumer Voice had some other good tips too.
Yeah, like what?
Well, they said keep all your travel documents organized.
Oh, that makes sense.
Your policy details, receipts, medical records.
Especially if you're dealing with like a medical emergency.
Right, or a lost passport, anything like that.
Yeah.
Oh, and take pictures of your luggage.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah, before you travel.
Why is that?
So if your bags get lost or damaged,
Yeah.
you have proof of what was inside.
That makes the claims process easier.
Exactly.
But even with all the right prep and insurance, things can still go wrong.
Oh, for sure. That's the nature of travel, right?
They actually gave some real-life examples.
Yeah, they did.
Like, what if you're going on this amazing trip,
Okay.
like to Peru,
Peru, all right.
to hike the Inca Trail,
Oh, wow. That's a dream trip.
and then right before you leave,
Uh-oh.
your doctor says you can't do it.
Um,
You have some health issue.
that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and you'll lose all that money.
Right. Those non-refundable bookings.
But that's where trip cancellation coverage comes in.
Exactly. It can save you thousands of dollars.
Okay, that's a huge relief.
Right.
And what if something happens during the trip?
Okay, let's say you're on the Inca Trail.
Yeah.
You're loving it.
Yeah.
And then you trip.
Oh.
You sprain your ankle.
That's the worst.
Right? You can't continue.
Yeah.
And now you need medical care.
In Peru?
Yeah, potentially expensive medical care.
Okay.
But your travel insurance,
It covers it.
it could cover the treatment, the transport, even evacuation.
So you're not stuck.
Exactly.
It's about peace of mind.
Right. Knowing you have that safety net.
What about lost luggage?
Oh, that's another classic.
Yeah.
You get to Peru,
Yeah.
your bags are gone.
Oh, no. All your hiking gear.
Gone, and you need new stuff.
Right.
But travel insurance can cover those costs.
Okay, so it really is about being prepared for the unexpected.
It is. And it's not just about the money.
Right.
It's also about the support.
Yeah.
Like having access to those 24/7 emergency hotlines,
oh, right.
legal support, even translation services.
So it's like having a whole team behind you.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot.
We have
What's the key takeaway here?
travel insurance is not one size fits all.
Right.
You need to find the right coverage.
For your needs?
Yeah, and understand the details.
Be an informed traveler.
Yes, exactly.
What's next in our travel insurance journey?
Well, travel is always changing,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So in part 3, we'll look at some emerging trends
Okay.
and challenges that might shape the future of travel insurance.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. All right, so we've talked about the basics of travel insurance.
The different types, the key criteria.
The recommendations from Consumer Voice.
All that good stuff.
Now I want to look ahead.
Okay.
What does the future hold for travel insurance?
Ooh, that's a good question.
The travel landscape is always changing.
It is.
New trends emerging.
Absolutely.
Like what about adventure travel?
Oh, yeah. That's huge now.
More and more people are doing that kind of stuff.
It wasn't really a thing back in 2014.
Right when this report was published.
Right. People are looking for those adventurous experiences.
Yeah, trekking remote areas.
Yeah.
Extreme sports.
Exactly.
So how does that affect travel insurance?
Well, it means there's a need for specialized policies.
Okay,
Because traditional policies,
Yeah.
they often exclude those high-risk activities.
Makes sense.
Like skiing, scuba diving,
Yeah.
even hiking at high altitudes.
You don't want to be in the middle of the jungle
Right.
and realize you're not covered.
Exactly.
What about sustainable travel?
Oh, yeah, another big trend.
People are more eco-conscious.
Right, they want to minimize their impact.
So could travel insurance play a role in that?
I think so.
How?
Well, we're already seeing interest in carbon offsetting
Okay.
and policies that reward eco-friendly choices.
So like staying in sustainable accommodations.
Yeah, exactly. Or choosing greener transportation.
Interesting.
And, of course, we can't forget technology.
Oh, right. Technology is changing everything.
It's transforming the travel industry.
And travel insurance, too.
Absolutely.
What kind of tech advancements are we seeing?
Well, AI-powered chatbots, for one,
Oh, yeah, those are everywhere now.
they can provide instant support,
Okay.
answer questions.
Makes things easier.
Right, and blockchain technology.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it could streamline claims processing.
So faster payouts.
Hopefully.
Now, what about mobile apps?
Oh, yeah, those are becoming really popular.
Yeah.
You can manage your policy,
Okay.
file claims, even access emergency services
All from your phone.
right at your fingertips.
So we've covered a lot in this deep dive.
We have.
What's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
I think it's that travel insurance is essential.
Okay.
It gives you peace of mind,
Right.
knowing you have that safety net.
No matter what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So do your research.
Yeah.
Choose the right policy.
And travel with confidence.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time.